This was a study that we actually just completed this year, sort of around the July-August timeframe, and it's really an assessment, a baseline assessment of the current eClinical data and data management landscape. Nearly 260 companies, primarily sponsors and CROs. This is a unique group of organizations, something that is often really hard to do in a study like this, to really gauge in the aggregate company practices and experiences, but make sure that you've got a lot of organizations represented. And the results are really quite remarkable. And I would say some are affirming and some are surprising. So if I can go into a few that were affirming, we certainly went into the study with a sense that companies are now collecting quite a diverse, heterogeneous set of data elements in a study. Everything from electronic or CRF data on the EDC to collecting data through social media or online communities, smartphones or mobile applications, real-world evidence. The list is quite long, and there's data coming from so many different places that has to be integrated. Often it's coming from incompatible sources. And we certainly picked up on that in the study, that there's a growing diversity of data, and of course that really creates a lot of challenges. We also found that timelines, the cycle time to manage the data, to lock the data, are still quite long, and they haven't gotten faster. And so that was a bit of a surprise for us, despite so many of the approaches that are being made to accelerate this activity and data management practices. We're really not seeing a major impact there. And I'd say one of the biggest surprises, however, was our insight into some of the downstream effects of data management challenges and how those actually affect the amount of time that it takes, for example, for the site personnel to enter patient data, or even to the time frame from last patient, last visit to the ability to lock the database. So a lot of interesting insights into the connection and association between some of the upfront challenges and the cycle times and how long it actually takes to support the data management activities. There were a lot of challenges that were noted in the survey itself. There's a lot of reasons why we see delays in building the database, for example, the data management database, and releasing a finalized database that can start actually capturing the eClinical data. So a lot of the changes are associated with the protocol itself. And many are even associated with some of the functionality that's needed to support the study. It could even be related to changes that are made in terms of user practices and improving the user experience overall. What we found, interestingly, is that although protocol design changes are probably the most frequent, they tend to have the least observed impact on the cycle time from last patient, last visit to database lock. Whereas changes to the database design itself and its functionality, those have a huge impact on that cycle time at the end of the study, the closeout of the study. And we really were able to measure and discriminate differences in the impact that these various changes or causes might have had on the cycle times. We did, and we believe that, in fact, that there may be some real insight there. CRO companies tend to actually be offering a speed advantage across most of the data management timelines, everything from the time to build and release the study data, for example, the study database, the time from the patient's last visit to database lock. The CRO tends to be faster, and it may in part be a function of the more standardized and systematic approach that the CRO takes, the fact that the CRO is actually trying to maintain a level of efficiency that will support a budget and plan that they've put in place for the project. But in general, the CRO is offering a significant speed advantage here. We believe that since it's a baseline assessment, we're really just at the very start of the diversification of eClinical data that companies are going to have to manage. And so we feel we're sort of right at the beginning of an evolutionary period here where a lot of organizations need to begin anticipating what this might mean for them and how their own practices might need to change.